feeling quite I would say disturbed lah, with the fact that we are relying too much on a CV to qualify somebody, and that really impacts the actually mental well-being of somebody. They'll be thinking like, what happened to my resume? I thought I did quite well.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Work Inspires podcast, the people's podcast for life, career, and business. And today we have a special someone. Okay, in this episode, we have a special someone right here. She is an amazing person. She is amazing. They are amazing partners, Kabel, and of course, a dear friend to us right here, right now. Can we give a huge round of applause to Camelia? Hello, Camelia. Oh, we call her
Hello,
Cam.
Asma. Hi, good morning to Mallory too.
Good
Morning, Cam. So I have the
Hello.
very strong honors or very good honors here to be
Yes.
able to introduce Cam. Okay, so Camelia Low, or Cam as we call her, has over 16 years experience in the executive search industry covering multiple industries including pharmaceuticals, oleochemicals, petrochemicals, automotive, telecommunication, plantation, consumer goods, and many more. I tell you, she's an expert. Even I am like, what? Okay. And she has seen the industry grow from, okay, I wouldn't call it, no, she's very young, okay? But she has seen the industry grow from yellow pages ruffling to AI-powered platforms today. And now she's the founder and CEO of Kabel, a platform that humanizes recruitment. We'll dive more into what Kabel does and also what does humanizing recruitment mean later on, okay? So without further ado, we're going to start with a quick energizer. Asfa, you want to take this on?
Can. So Cam, I got, I just want to know, right, with all of those amazing things like what Mel mentioned, right? When you were young, right, when you were a child, what was your ambition at that time, Cam?
Firstly, it's thanks for the introduction. It's also great to be here today. And despite you guys saying me still young and with the 16 years and now bringing me back to my childhood, it's going to be quite difficult to hide lah.
Very young, very young.
Okay, so this sounds exciting. Okay, so your question as well, you are asking what was my childhood ambition, is it?
Yes.
Okay, that's a nice one. I had a few, but I don't think that it was unique lah, and perhaps quite typical of someone who is also born in a Malaysian Chinese family. So, yeah, bingo. Some more? Okay, so it was a doctor or it was a teacher, and okay, maybe this one is a little bit of policewoman.
Oh,
Wow!
what?
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, I did not see
expect
that
that.
coming.
Yeah.
But fun fact, my earliest ambition was actually to be a secret agent.
Wow, there you
And then
go.
my teacher said it's invalid. I'm like, there's such thing as an invalid ambition?
I always wanted to be an inventor from before. Like my name, my Asfa, the word Asfa is in another term is called inventor. So I don't know.
Oh, is
I
that
don't know.
right?
Yes,
Nice.
but we are here again. So I
Okay,
guess
Asma invented lame jokes.
Okay, so since you want to be a policewoman, right? Okay. So your first internship, what happened after that? So of course it clearly changed, right? And then after that, I'm sure your first internship was totally different. So how was the experience, and where did you went to for your first internship? Yeah.
Okay, clearly I didn't make it to the police squad lah.
You actually tried? Cam? You actually tried? You actually tried?
I tried to apply for what is that called again? The extra police what do you call that? The extra squad, when people is an emergency. Yeah, so it was not because I did not make it, but it was just, the whole idea was being slammed down by my dad lah. It's like, what kind of Chinese lady is this one go and try out for this?
Among
So
all
no,
things, right?
then yeah. So
Yes.
my first internship was totally different from all that three. Yeah. So I think that my first internship was great. It was a sneak peek for me into corporate world. I was a science student, okay, and was really gung ho about doing research and discovery. Maybe want to invent something like Aswa, right? So I remember that I was so excited to be accepted into a research facility, doing research on how to convert palm oil waste into natural sweetener. Cool, right?
For
wow.
your
Maybe for
internship,
me, it
you went
was
through that.
cool. The nerdy side of me just came out.
Oh my God, I'm seeing a new side of Cam every single
Exactly.
day.
Surprise. Yeah, so I thought it was actually pretty cool. Although I did think that perhaps the institute could have actually done better by putting some structure, into the 2 months internship program. It's very short, and perhaps aligning them to have a more effective learning outcome, right? But I did really, really enjoy the freedom and access that I have to all the lab materials and equipment. So it's like the mad scientist, I had fun getting my hands dirty with designing experiments, running my own tests with my two other crazy friends who got posted to the same lab, and then yeah, so after 2 months, did I produce anything? The answer was clearly no. Did I learn anything? The answer was yes. So, if I can share the top 3 things that I actually learned was from that experience was that, you can always make the best out of the situation, even though, the situation is not perfect. Okay. Try to have fun, learn your own new things, build your own things. Number 2, commitment to stay on working there. The research center was like in some far and secluded, isolated place, like in some jungle in the middle of the kampong, right? So I still have to wake up every day, make myself go there, but it's okay, right? So it's a commitment side. Thirdly, I realized I didn't want to do research anymore after. I
Yeah,
only
that's
had
what
less
people
time.
always say, right? Like
Huh? Sorry?
your internship experience will either define what you like to do or you
Yeah.
know what you don't like to do.
Exactly. But I believe that if I had a good leader or manager who was there to keep inspiring me and guiding me, right? I think I may have just stayed back. Till today, I still think of like, okay, COVID situation, right? Wow, what if I'm still in the lab? That would be quite nice playing around with all the DNA stuff and yeah. So still got a bit lah. The fire has not totally died. Yeah.
Who knows, right? One day you might just, I don't know, post-retirement thing and go, let's just go and explore more things in the lab side. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? The best option would be becoming a guinea pig for them.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far. Now let's go back to the topic, okay? In your opinion, Ken, now we always talk about when there are some companies we see where hiring is like a transaction. You hire in, it's my way or the highway kind of way for an organization. And on the other hand, similarly, we've also seen where a lot of companies they become a victim of stepping stones or victim of by the way because I can't get any other job. So, I'm just gonna get whatever that comes. So with that said, in your opinion, do you think it's important to have both employees and companies to be aligned on the same value or goals before they jump aboard with each other?
Definitely. But the situation that you have actually described is pretty common, right? So, having said that, especially for the younger job seekers and whatnot, I mean, this is to note, yeah. So this is actually quite common. And my advice is that stick on to it and you probably will find something out there. But alignment of values and goals is something that you need to constantly look for along the whole entire career journey. It's not just when you are a young job seeker. It has, of course, a variety of bottom line benefits such as improved engagement, better job performance, higher employee retention rates, and of course for the company financial rewards as well. And it can really, truly achieve cultural fit within the organizations and teams. Yeah, so I would highly recommend so that, both sides keep searching for that alignment, values and goals.
Okay, before we jump to the next slide, I just want to add the question to this. I mean, just to dive further, right? If you were to pick one key value that you look for when you were looking for organization, what would it be? Just one.
I would look for a good leader, a leader who will basically enable me to actually achieve my dreams and my goals. I think that is actually very, very important. It doesn't really quite matter if it's, a big company or a small company, right? So I believe everywhere, if you are a talent, you'll be able to actually grasp whatever that is actually, within your reach and make it happen anyway. But it's important to have a leader that will path your way with you. Yeah.
Nice. I think you're completely right. Like having the right leader, like what you just said about your internship, right? If you have the right leader at that particular time, the whole experience might have changed, right?
Yes.
So I mean right now, right? If this whole thing that we are going through right now with the pandemic and everything like that, there are also people who are new hires or graduates that have this question about finding the right company and the right people and the right culture and everything like that. What's your take on that, Cam? Is there any sort of is the word the right way to say it? If you understand what I'm saying.
I think finding the right partner could be easier. Well, this is $1 million question, right? Actually, choosing the right company is a huge task, especially if you're, young and inexperienced. But I don't think that there is a definition of a right company, that one size fit all kind of thing, because it really depends on how you want to invest in your own career as an individual.
Yeah.
So it's important though to remember that big branded companies are not the only option for a viable career in today's modern world. Yeah, it's not. So if you ask me what I would perhaps, if I'm able to actually categorize these companies, the type of companies, I would categorize them under 3 main buckets. One of which would be the superstar multinationals. I call them the winners, right? They are large and probably technologically very advanced. Okay. Then the second category will be the smaller companies that aim to either topple the winner superstar or to be acquired by one at the end of the day. So I'll call this group aspirants. Okay. And then the third one, I'll call them the afterthoughts. Okay, companies that may have faded from its prominence but still have their strength. Okay, so for me, I think that it can be good for you to work for any of those companies. What is crucial is actually to have your own correct expectations. Yeah. So for example, if you're working for the winner type, the superstar multinational, it's expected to know that there is a clear existence of hierarchy. So you are slotted into an exact role, okay, and that your goal will have to just move from there, whether it's lateral or it's upwards. So normally they have already pre-existing system, right? So after completion of what, then you'll be moved to another role and things like that. So that's a winner. But with every organization, there's also downsides as well. So the downside for this type of typical employer is that, in this modern world, especially, you need to be the glue person, I call it, right? The kind of worker who understands the different moving parts, of creating a product fit together, right? Especially at junior levels, it's very hard, to get that kind of varied exposure. So, for example, if you work in finance, you probably only work with finance people rather than, gaining exposure to engineering or marketing or product development, right? But you have all the access to the cutting edge technology, and part of your goal should be to learn up as much as you can.
True. I really like what you mentioned about categorizing it, Cam. I think that's something that is really important for this generation right now. Right? If you know when you categorize, let's say like what for your case is like winners, aspirant, and then afterthought, right?
Yeah.
If you categorize them accordingly to that, then you would know what to expect already. When you go into the winners category, then like what you mentioned about hierarchy and everything like that. Afterthought is like okay, that line in a sense, but of course there are some benefits of it.
Yes, that's right. So the afterthought is actually very interesting.
Yeah.
They were once prominent, and probably still trying, to stay up there, lah. But they do have a role to play in the ecosystem. So people who generally go there are, people who probably, is interested in doing some transformation,
Yeah.
right? So maybe you come from a traditional business, they want to go into, a new space, better technology. So for people who probably have exposure to the multinational superstar, if they were to stay on there, it's going to be slower progression. Then, some people choose to actually move into the afterthought. And then, that's where actually you have the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've
But
seen many experienced one like that, right? Those with key experience hires.
experience,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. They tend to move from, these winners to the afterthoughts because they know the experience will be able to add more value into the work
Yes.
that
Yes, that's right. There is a third category which is very interesting though, the aspirant one, right? I mentioned.
Yes.
These are
yeah.
the smaller early stage companies.
Correct.
Yeah, like
Yeah, the more
startups.
empowerment related.
Yes,
So if you want to explore more, that's where you should go.
correct. That one, no
Okay.
structure. They just throw you in there and then you swim lah, whichever direction that you want.
Yeah, go figure out and then make things work.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Cap, I think we already dived into this question a bit, but I want to dive in further. So with these three categories of companies, right? What do you think would be the suitable candidate that would help them? So you have your winners, what type of candidate would be the right one? When you have your aspirant, what type of candidate would be the right one? And then if you have the afterthoughts, what type of candidate would be suitable for them? Maybe you can share a bit about that.
Okay, I go from terbalik. Okay, I start with the afterthought first. So afterthought, the type of quality that I always look for is somebody who is able to actually be the change agent, right? We'll need to understand that, you've got legacy stuff to deal with, right? And to be able to actually change, the mindset or the way of how people used to do things is never easy, right? It's never easy. So for me, if I were to choose somebody for the afterthought, I need to make sure that this person is tahan lasak lah, really, right? Will do whatever it takes and convince people from all different angles, right? Staying focused, but at the same time also know how to build relationship, because you probably will be dealing with people who have been there like for years and years.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then I say I go to Balik, right? So for the aspirant, right? So the aspirant is typically, if I were to take an example of a startup, right? So these are the types of individuals who don't mind actually picking up new things, right? They find that learning new things along the way is actually very, very exciting for them. These people would typically think that, if I were to join a startup, for example, right, or an aspirant, they will learn things that you can only achieve in a superstar multinational in the 10 years. But in a startup, you probably, cramp it up into 2 to 3 years and that's it. Right? So, of course, got downside lah. These type of people, I need to manage in terms of their expectations, in terms of their overall package. Right? So the overall package here does also includes the basically the job experience as well, which is the higher value, right, as compared to monetary or even benefits coming from the company, right? Well, having said that, these are the type of company that is high risk, high gain also. If things happen, they are always rewarded with some, equity and stuff like that, early equity, especially that, you're a younger staff and all that. Yeah, you probably can cash out later. Yeah. Yeah. Multinationals, good for branding, of course, in your CV, right? Everybody will come grab you. You'll be actually, will be developed in that organization for the first maybe 5 to 6 years. Is a very highly competitive environment. Everybody wants to go there. You can imagine that they probably receive thousands of resumes in a month, kind of thing, right? So this person needs to be, like I mentioned earlier, I need to see the glue person, very good with PR, very good with stakeholder management, knows how to sniff around and build all the bridge from your department to the the apartment without even knowing their names and whatnot. So this person needs to know, who are the people in the email list, who to email when they need to actually solve something that they need to do. Yeah. So typically these are the three the characteristic lah of the people that I will place in those companies.
Yeah, so it comes to show the end of the day, right? Each of like how a candidate would go for a company, and if you can identify some of the strengths that me as a candidate, if I can identify what are the strengths, my characteristics, right, and I just map it to this type of company, it kind of really helps me narrow down the search because a lot of times we see people that says, I don't want this, but I don't know what I want either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I know I don't want to be like general go to research, but I don't know where else to go besides that. So at least now with Cam's help, you already kind of guess, okay, these are the characteristics that organizations are looking for. So if you kind of know that, okay, I'm somebody who's definitely a bit more gung-ho, a bit more resilient, I want to see what's possible out there, I want to spread my wings now, then maybe the aspirant category will be a bit more suitable for you. But if you're somebody who's looking for a bit more stabilized life, you can know that, okay, at least these are job scope description already arranged for you. This is your career path, at least for the first 2-3 years. Then you already know that, okay, perhaps the MSc will be more suitable. And then, of course, you're somebody who is a bit more adventurous and, probably very good stakeholder management skills. Then your afterthoughts will be very suitable organization. So with that said, I think we kind of really find a good balance, right? As far between what the candidate likes and what the company likes already.
But the funny thing is, right? Like, I mean, yes, you're right. You found the balance, right? But I always question. It's like when you pointed out just now, right, Cap? I was like, actually, it's true. Like what you said. Like especially for people like new hires or graduates for that matter, right? When they start off, they want to go into the winners category, right? But their motive and their path at that particular time is inside the aspirant level where they want to grow, they want to try new things, they want to develop themselves and pave their path, right?
That's
And
right.
then once they go into the winner category and go to all of these MNCs and all big conglomerates, they'll be like, I'm not doing anything. It's just like I and that's where they have this conflict of speed and pace and everything like that. So it's
Exactly.
totally different.
Exactly. Yes. And that's why there's so many, youngsters that step into the world, they get, mismatched with the expectations. And then, they're going in there gung-ho want to change the world. Then it's like, oh, lama, to do one thing, I need to get approval. And it takes about 3 to 5 months kind of thing. Yeah, that kind of like can kill the energy and spirit of the person. Yeah. So again, it's back to your own, management. Of course, if the younger folks out there, if you're listening, if you have, a chance to actually, get yourself to a mentor, or people like Mallory, Asfar, and all that in Work Inspires. If you guys, can find a connection to how, you can inspire, the younger folks. Yeah, that would be a good gauge and coaching or a mentorship provided. I think you provide that, right, Mallory, your company?
Yeah. We do provide mentorship for that. So of course, and I think generally you can always look for mentors almost anywhere and everywhere. There are platforms, actual mentorship platforms like maybe Future Lab is one of it. But on the other hand, we can always reach out to any one of us, like Aswa, Jason, myself, or either even Cam. I'm pretty sure even Cam makes a great mentor. Actually, not I think, it's for sure Cam makes a great
Okay, I try my best. I try my best. Yeah.
So since we're talking about companies and everything like that, right? You from Kabel, Cap, I just want to ask, in this perspective, with the 21st century right now, hiring process, how did Kabel come up with this, or what does it mean to you about humanizing recruitment?
Okay.
How did it come up, and what does it?
That's a nice, good question. Okay. So I've seen basically how recruitment has actually evolved, right? Because 16 years is no joke,
16 yes, exactly.
Right. Yellow Pages days till now.
Yellow Pages days, that's right. And Yellow Pages days were effective, I think because people were still very much hands-on, with their hiring, especially the line manager. But over the years, it has basically the digitalization and systems that were developed along the way has overtaken or replaced the function of basically human to become the filter, right? Because for the sake of efficiency and cost optimization. So to me, I think humanizing recruitment is really about finding the balance in innovation, in technology, right? And the importance of human interaction in recruitment, right? With the power of technology. We cannot exclude that entirely, but where we use technology, as an enabler, to make it happen, right? So, but technology should not be the front, right? Line managers and job seekers should be the front, giving them more time to get to know each other, giving people's motivation more attention in this case, right? Because that's not something that a system would be able to actually derive from a candidate. So the inability to hire good quality candidates and the turnover today, the high turnover today is a result of a lack of empathy and understanding at the start of the recruitment process or before the recruitment process per se, right? It's hard to achieve that, when you're relying on technology to make, the first cut of who will get through and who will not, right? I mean, how would the system know us? Because how we write the resume? I don't think that is actually very right. So that's why we came up with, the tagline of humanizing recruitment. We want to bring back human back into the picture before even they say yes to each other. Just like dating lah, Asba.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would know. But yeah. All right. I think that is really, really good. So in that context, right, Cam, if let's say, for example, a company wants to change, or what are three ways the company can do to humanize the recruitment in their company? Cam?
Bring back human into the human process, lor. Bring back
you said
human into recruitment. Sorry?
You said empathy was one of it, right?
Yes, that's right. Yes, and understanding of what each other's needs are. So you see, recruitment is a human business, but what we see now that companies and candidates are dealing with most of the time is resume, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's asking like how to write the bestest resume. That's not bestest resume lah. How to ace the resume writing, what we are trying to do here is actually writing a resume to give the best impression to if it's a smaller organization, you still have HR and hiring managers reading it. But if you're talking about Fortune 500 companies, most of them, 98% of the Fortune 500 companies out there actually deploys ATS, applicant tracking system, to filter out the CV. So they are like, electronic gatekeepers. So what it does is that it passes the resume content into categories, and then they scan it for specific keywords to determine if the job applicant would be passed to the recruiter or not. So this actually helps the shortlisting of the candidates that deem to be better fit with their own ranking system. So supposedly to speed up the recruitment process lah. Yeah. So, but the quick fact is that, right, 70% of the resumes that went through ATS are never read by employers. 70%, okay? This is not said by me, this got some survey by JobScan, okay? So, and the keywords are the secret to beat the bot. That's why if you were to, go through some of the webinars out there or even read through some blogs or articles on the internet, they will tell you, what are the keywords that you should say, or sorry, not say, write down, in your CV so that they can pick it up. And there are many types of ATS out there lah, so many, and you would need to know each one of them, how they are actually built to recognize what sort of resumes, So if one has to spend time applying for jobs and then never get response, right? Imagine 70% of it never seen by a human, right? It's probably gone into the black hole. So, but has it got to do with anybody's capabilities? No, right? It's probably to do with the type of info you provide while you're filling up that resume. So it's a bit sad lah, right? So I think we need to seriously consider bringing back human into, the whole entire recruitment process. We've got. Do we have time? I've got two more suggestions, right?
Yes, go. You got time.
Okay. So sorry, a bit long-winded here. But
It's all
feeling
good.
very, feeling quite I would say disturbed lah, with the fact that we are relying too much on a CV to qualify somebody, and that really impacts the actually mental well-being of somebody. They'll be thinking like, what happened to my resume? I thought I did quite well, Okay, so suggestion number 2 would be human-centric digitalizing, focusing on user experience and journey. You can introduce technology, it's not that you can't, but just focus on user experience, because after all, we're designing technology for human, right? So if we miss out this portion, trust me, you will miss out good candidates. And that's why statistics says that there's only 14% of the people or the talent out there are the ones that who's applying into, job portals. 14% only. So what happens to the rest of the people, right? They're just not inspired, right? So while digitalization is good for increasing efficiency and optimizing costs, we must always consider, the user experience. In simple words, candidates' journey reflects a set of experience that, candidates go through, job hunting process, whether it's a smooth process, it's a complicated process, lengthy, or even frightening, right? And this is very important because, with the rate that information can go wild, in today's world, right? If you have a bad experience entering into a company A, right, trust me, it will go everywhere. Bad news. So for companies, you need to actually manage that, like, your candidates, like as if they're your customers in the first place, right? Make sure that they're happy when they're applying into your organization. Okay, third one, aligning expectations. We spoke about this earlier, right? Aligning expectations between job seekers and hirer. So it needs to happen between the two before hiring. And unclear employer expectation usually lead to dissatisfaction, disengagement, underperformance issues at the workplace. So I find often that, when employees say that they are exited from the company is a politically correct term for fired because you're not doing a good job. It's simply because they did not know that the employer that hired them had a certain performance expectations and thought that they were actually, doing quite a good job, right? So, but in all fairness, if you're applying into a job through just a job description, then you have 40 minutes to 1 hour kind of interview, and before you know it, the offer letter is out, and then they tell you that, it's either you take it within this next 3 days or not, you just sign on it, right? But without really, having time to talk about it, having clear expectations. So it's really tough to cram all that thing out in that short period of time. And of course, for the job seekers who got exited, it's pretty tough to hit a target that you don't even know it existed in the first place.
True.
Right? Because job descriptions are so generic. You can Google up what a brand manager does, and it's the same probably everywhere.
Yeah, correct. And the funny thing is that most of the time you only know your target after you sign the offer letter. And the day on the job, the first day, oh, by the way, this is what you need to do. And you feel like, oh, that wasn't told to me. It'll be too late then,
Yeah, exactly. So I think that should be actually spoken about before you even get somebody's interest to go further.
I think to summarize it all is like, I think 2 key points that really stood out for me was that number 1, you can use technology, you just have to use it accurately or properly, because end of the day, you are hiring humans, not robots, right? So to a certain extent, the human touch is still very important beyond just the interview element. And of course, secondly, is that I think be open. I think transparency is a key thing here. As much as we want candidates to be transparent to us about everything in their life, as much as a certain extent, we also as a company need to be a bit more transparent to them about, okay, these are the reality of what actually goes on in the organization, and this is what we hope you can help us in, rather than just trying to paint this very beautiful garden of roses. It goes, oh, you know what? It's okay. Take your time. You can learn. They didn't say I gotta learn in 2 weeks, but take your time. You're gonna learn.
Yes,
Things like that.
that's
So I
right.
think, yeah, transparency all matters. Okay, so I think now with all that you shared, right, we are running a lot into quite scary pool in the future, especially if I'm a candidate, right, going for a job. Right? I gotta think of bots. I gotta think of
I'm
key
still
terms
thinking the
in
70%.
resumes. Yeah, I have to think of now how do I manage expectations. So many things to think about. It's gonna probably scare me. And on top of that, I'm entering the work through this pandemic era where it's like semi-virtual, semi-hybrid. I'm not even sure some of us are going to start work, haven't been to office and things like that. So what are maybe one or two key ways a candidate can better prepare for all kinds of funny challenges they're going to be facing forward?
Okay. So well, at the end of the day, it's basically the candidate, the individual themselves. What they can prepare is to plan for your career. And when I say plan, it's actually planning on how to build your set of values and your soft skills rather than collecting your hard skills. Stuff like technical or your education and stuff like that, those are hard skills. But what's actually valuable in today's crazy world, right, is actually the soft skill. It trumps all academic results, for example, right? So some of the values that employers are looking for in young job seekers especially, right, is a couple of things only. Hardworking, being honest, discipline, and commitment. And I didn't say this. This is basically a statement that is backed up by a study done by Kazana Research Institute.
That's all. Don't need critical thinking, emotional intelligence, leadership.
Exactly, right? So they in that research they also say, okay, now these are the top 4 things that employers looking for. These are the top 4 things that young job seekers think that they should have. So you just said it: critical thinking, communication skill, and blah blah and all that. So you see the mismatch.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Yeah. And so you realize, I mean, if you happen to actually speak to some of the companies who's hiring, right? What do they say about young job seekers? They say, yeah, these people during the interview can tell me that they can do anything. All of them are just not honest. When they come in, only they became the tofu quality. It just disintegrates like that, right? So they call them, yeah, so they call them, very nasty lah. They call them liars lah, not honest lah, with stuff like that. But I truly think it's not because the job seekers actually want to lie about it. I honestly think that it's because of the mismatch of an expectation, right?
Yeah.
Nobody told them that, hey, you need to do this within the first 30 days, yeah? Hey, you need to do this in the next 1 quarter. You need to achieve this, right? So as a result, okay, you start to miss your target. The typical journey when you enter the company, right? You miss your target, then you feel a little bit self-doubt, right? Before you know it, you are like down in the pits already. You're doing that crisis. So yeah, so that's for the first 6 months. So a lot of people within the first 6 months feeling lost and all that, some of them would actually exit from the company. But if you're listening out there, fresh grads today, just make sure that you just bite the bullet lah, whatever it is, you just hang on and try to make things work. You will see the light at the end of the tunnel, no problem. In the next 6 months or so, just bite the bullet and just move on. Yeah. So again, it's mismatch of the expectations lah on both sides that is the cost to this.
I think that's where both ways come in. From a candidate perspective, is also to really don't try to oversell what you cannot deliver. And then also from company's perspective, also just be very upfront what are the things that they will be going through. So I think one final thing I'd like to add before I pass to Asfar is that for all the candidates out there, right? When you go for interview, there's a question called the final question, right? What would you, the employers will ask me anything, what would you like to know? You can use that question to ask what are some of the expectations you would want from me when I enter the workforce. So that way, if you're wondering how to align this key expectation without sounding too obvious, put in a new interview.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, settled.
Yeah, have to voice out like even for the job seekers. I mean, even you're fresh grad or whatsoever, right? It's okay, like Mallory said, to ask the question, ask the right question and all that. Don't be shy. I mean, if you're gonna be shy, you're gonna have to face, the music lah when you start work. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, Cam. I know we can talk on and on and on and on again, but of course, we're almost to an end. But before we end our session, Cam, thank you so much for joining in. And of course, the most important thing is for how do people reach out to you, whether so be it if they're fresh grads or working professionals, how do they reach out to you, Cam, to find for a job for that matter?
Okay. The world most known corporate professional platform, LinkedIn, can add me there, right? But if you are actually seeking for employment, go ahead and download Kabel in your app store, right?
Yes.
So we have built that product to be able to connect you directly with the line managers without you having to even put effort into it, because the AI actually does the matching, and it has a chat function, right? Chat away, ask as much as question that you want, align as much as possible your values, purpose, goals, and expectation before you decide to actually click on the calendar and say, okay, I'll meet you outside. Let's go Yum Cha. And then we talk about the real stuff.
Nice, amazing, and that's what you call humanizing recruitment. Amazing job. All right, thank you so much, Cam, for your time, and of course, thank you so much for joining us. Always has been a pleasure talking to you. You have become our dear friend already, and really appreciate it. And for those people who are whether you're watching or you're listening in whatever platforms that you are on right now, thank you so much for joining us in this journey. And of course, no matter what it is, whatever that you have learned, okay, throughout this whole podcast right here, please do message us or message Cam and give some good, amazing nuggets that you have learned so that we can connect and of course learn more together. And with that, thank you so much, everybody. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you, Mallory. Thank you, Asfa and Jason.
Thanks, Cam.
Continue to inspire the younger folks, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode. We are here to inspire, so we really appreciate your support. Do share this to those people who you know can benefit from this podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe all of our channels: Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Take care and see you all soon.